The OFM Business Hour with me, Olebogeng Motse. We're going to learn more about the findings of the 2025 edition of Xpatweb's Critical Skills Survey. And we're chatting to the MD of Xpatweb, Marisa Jacobs. She joins us again on the Business Hour to discuss the critical skills crunch in South Africa. How are you doing, Marisa?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. You'd remember we spoke to her, I think, the last time about the B20, so I'll reserve that for another day. But nonetheless, we're focusing on this critical skills survey. Take us through some of the notable findings.
So absolutely. So first of all, let me set the tone. So the critical skills survey intends to determine the extent of the critical skills shortage in South Africa, as first and foremost, and then secondly, the role of foreign nationals in addressing these shortages. And so the first stat that I'd like to share is that 84% of large corporates and multinationals in South Africa find it difficult to recruit highly skilled talent. And that is an increase from 79% last year. So the problem is indeed getting worse.
Are you able to kind of give an indication as to why they're struggling to recruit from abroad?
So the survey doesn't specifically ask the struggle, but what I can say is it is a supply and a demand mismatch. So in South Africa, we have many of these skills, but we don't have enough to fill the gap that sits in South Africa. And then companies start looking abroad to find those skills. And then, of course, the work visa process then becomes a factor in terms of who they can recruit and how long it takes and how easy it is to access that international market.
And we've had a few conversations about the work visa process, which we'll touch on shortly. But give us a sense of the key skills that are needed here. What occupations are being affected or sectors?
So if we look at, in the first place is engineering. I mean, engineering has been at the number one. We've been running the survey for 8 years, and engineering has been at the top of the list in all years except for 1 year. The second most sought after is ICT specialist. This is not surprising. We see this global movement. And then artisans, senior financial execs, foreign language speakers, of course, because we've got the BPO call center sector in South Africa, and they're looking for those foreign language speakers. Media and marketing on the rise, healthcare, science professionals, STEM teachers, and then at number 10 is C-suite executives.
In terms of your data, you got responses from roughly how many employers across how many sectors, if you'd mind telling us?
So this is the biggest survey yet. This year we got 381 responses from companies, and it's across sectors. So it really is a good cross-section of the business market in South Africa.
Yeah, and big and small businesses, some are JSE listed, for example.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, we spoke on some of the issues related to work visas. We've spoken to you previously before about the Trusted Employer Scheme. Tell us a bit more about where that stands presently.
So we are about 20 months into the Trusted Employer Scheme program since it was rolled out on the 1st of March 2023. In the survey, we asked employers who participated, are you part of the scheme? And if you are you finding that it's more easy to access talent now? And 80% of them said yes. So that's very positive. I'm sure the Department of Home Affairs and the Minister would be extremely pleased with that number. So that is indeed super positive.
The Business Hour on OFM.
That's Marisa Jacobs, the MD of Xpatweb, taking you through their 8th edition of their Critical Skills Survey. Top of the list of the most in-demand skills is engineering, which most companies are seeking from abroad to make up for the lack of skills in the country. There's still some more from our conversation coming up shortly. We're continuing to look at Xpatweb's 8th Critical Skills Survey, which shows that 84% of major employers are struggling to fill highly skilled roles like that of engineers and IT specialists and C-suite executives. But this percentage is up from last year. It was 79%. Now, what's driving this worsening shortage, especially when there's been progress at the Home Affairs in terms of work visa applications? Joining us for part 2 is Marisa Jacobs. She's the MD of Xpatweb. Yes, I mean, are you finding that there's greater engagement now with the department under the leadership of Dr. Schreiber?
Definitely. Lots more engagement, a much more visible minister, and a lot of momentum. You will have seen that there's lots happening and consistently happening. So it's not like a big burst of policy change and action happening, and then for months you hear nothing. It's been a constant improvement, both on the civic side, so for South Africans dealing with home affairs, as well as on the immigration side. So I think that's an extremely positive sign, and we love to see that continuous momentum.
In closing, Marisa, there's clearly a mismatch of critical skills in our country. How do we sort of work towards narrowing this, mismatch in critical skills, but also on the other end, making it easier in the meantime for businesses to be able to attract the talent that they need to be able to attract? I mean, from your earlier answer, the indication is Home Affairs is certainly on board.
Correct. So I think on the one side, we need data-based decision-making. So we really need to have access to strong data. It must be accurate, it must be timely, it must be detailed data. This survey aims to do exactly that. It's to provide the department with good data so that we can have a critical skills list that allows business to bring in the skills that they need. So that is vitally important. And then I think on the other side, there is also, aside from the policy reform, we need to make South Africa a more attractive destination. We know once foreign nationals get here, they really love the country. They tend to progress to extend their stays in South Africa, and it's a really great place to relocate your families to. But I think if someone hasn't been here, it is not as easy to convince them, and they obviously hear all the bad press around immigration. So I think we can do a better job in terms of promoting South Africa as a destination for skills.
And I can imagine a large bulk of them want to then be concentrated in Cape Town because of the good reputation, or not?
Surprisingly, business sits in Joburg, so we see a lot of the talent sitting in Johannesburg. The Cape Town market, the stats that we see is really more your retired person's visas. So I guess we do see a bit of commuting. So there is a concentration in Cape Town. But certainly in the business sector, the hub sits in Johannesburg, and then with some KZN and some Cape Town concentration.
I mean, what I've learned with Ghana is that the appeal for people is the concept of remote working. Does that also kind of make things more attractive if remote working is an option? Just in closing.
I definitely believe so. The early stats that the department released after the remote work visa came into effect in October last year showed a very small uptake. But I think when the department releases new updated numbers, that will have jumped significantly. We've seen it just in our practice, how many additional inquiries and processes we've done for remote work visa. I think it's becoming extremely attractive. And yes, South Africa, and of course, there's it's good for the economy. And I think just one last thing that I'd like to add in terms of the skills gap and what we can do. We had a wonderful quote recently from the Deputy Finance Minister that specifically mentioned for each international skilled person that we bring into South Africa, it creates 6 local jobs. And that's really great for unemployment numbers. So we need to look at bringing in foreign talent as an enabler to creating jobs and to reducing the unemployment rate rather than seeing it as a threat.
Wow, that's quite an really positive and an important take. Thank you so much, Marisa Jacobs. She's the MD of Xpatweb. We appreciate you and your time and hope to speak again soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.